Hi Bryce's Hello Mermaid, and it appears all my appeals to not do collision physics seem to have fallen on deaf ears. But never mind, we have a little problem here involving dolphins and balls. And we could use a little improvement both on timing and on rigging. So here is my scene, and we have a ball between two stand-in dolphins, which are just two cylinders. Now what I'm using here is what's called and a YZ mirror or a YZ mirror. So basically everything down the Z line or the Y line is mirrored or reflected. So this cylinder here is exactly the same distance from the midline as this cylinder. Okay, so we have left-right mirror ability. That makes it really easy to position objects. So if I were to create an object here, let's say another ball, and we stuck it up here, and if I wanted a mirror image to it, well, all I could do is just go, just get an idea of, okay, this is the position in the X direction. I can go copy, paste, and it'll paste over itself. All right, click A, and then just reverse the sign. And we'll have an exact mirror image position of this in the X direction. Okay, so that's what YZ or YZ plane mirror imaging is. Everything is symmetrical along the X-axis. So we've got a ball and it needs to be nudged between these two dolphins. I'm going to start with the ball first. That's easy. That's a pendulum one. I've chosen a period of around about 1.5 seconds or something like that. What is it? Oh, it's 1 second. Okay, 1 second to go there, and therefore another second to go back. It'll pendulum back for 2. Cool. It starts at 0, and this duration of the animation is 6 seconds. So if I play it through, doing, 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 that's easy. And it's just now a matter of getting the dolphins in the right position so that it can nudge the ball to and fro, which again is easy because we know exactly when the dolphin needs to contact the ball at every 1 second, at every 2 second interval, offset by 1 for the other dolphin. Okay, let's take a look at the AML just for the ball here. There doesn't really need to be a lot of AML stuff, and yet there does for this 2 second one. So how I created this was I positioned the ball here, moved time along over to 1 second, right, and then clicked another keyframe, and then moved it back to the middle, and then just offset it, right, up a little bit as far as position goes. In the AML, weirdly different story, because we have to think about a little bit of gravity and a little bit about impact or collisions here. So at the points of these two points where the dolphins hit the ball needs to accelerate fairly quickly. And then it kind of slows down, not much as it gets to the middle, and then accelerates as it comes down, and then bang, accelerates again at this point and decelerates at this point. However, the acceleration curve for this particular movement isn't so intuitive. Let's have a look at it. Okay, it looks kind of like some kind of weird minaret, if you like. But if you want to follow the time here, we have our 3 keyframes that are repeated. We start off with a steep slope, and steep slope means fast velocity. And then it kind of shallows out as we get to our first keyframe. The dotted line is the keyframe, and that represents this point here. So it kind of slows down, not really, and then starts speeding up again as we get to this point. And then this is kind of 3-point V, a really sharp V there. And let me show you how you do sharp points within the ACL. You don't really cover it too often. You don't really need it too often, but I think it's a matter of clicking, is it shift on the point? Yeah. So you click shift on the point and it starts turning into a corner rather than a curve. So if I was to move this point around, you'd see, okay, it's curved in that nature. But if I were to shift click that point, bang, it's a corner. And that's how I got that point right at the top. The rest of these are just very close, but they are curves. I'll turn this back into a curve by shift clicking again, and we'll move this down to roughly where it was. I think it was something like about there-ish, I think. And we have our minuet pattern. And how you read this is that start sharply, start quickly, and then kind of slow down as we get to the peak of the ball. This is this dotted line here. And then as gravity takes over, it starts off. But I really want to sharpen it here because there's going to be another impact, another hit. That's why it's so sharp at the top. And then, of course, speed up. Steep slopes are fast. Then travel at relatively constant speed, a little bit of a slowdown, and speed up as we get to the ball again because gravity's taking over. And I want to speed it up to really emphasize the impact of the dolphin hitting that ball. So that's our position, and that's our position for the time being. Now, here's a logistical concern. We have a dolphin trying to hit the ball at 0 seconds. How do we do that? How does the dolphin wind up for it? At the moment, time starts at 0, right? As soon as you press play, the ball starts oscillating, and that goes on forever because it's on pendulum loop, right? But that doesn't mean to say that all looped animations have to start at time equals 0. What we can do is shift the timing along a bit. And we do this by selecting your ticker marks here, drag over them until they're all highlighted white. Position your mouse over where it turns into a little double arrow there, and then I'm just going to move time along to I'm just watching the little display directly underneath the ACE. There it says 3 seconds, 10 seconds. I just want 4 seconds. Come on, 4 seconds, 4 seconds. There we go. Okay, 4 seconds. So now how does that timeline read for the ball? What the timeline reads is nothing will happen to the ball up until around about 60 frames or 2 seconds, and then we'll start the loop. So here we have it playing through. Nothing happens, and then we start our movement now. And because this is 6 seconds, this should carry on for quite a bit, I hope. Yeah, it keeps going on and on and on and on and on. So that's where we start our looping point. Now this is cool. This means it gives us a little bit of lead time to say, okay, what's the dolphin here going to do? Okay, if you think I think that collision physics in Bryce is horrible, and it is, simulating anatomical biological life is even worse. So this is going to be a bit tricky. I'll just wing my way through it. And we're just talking about the dolphins here from here on in. Now I'm going to do something that I normally do as a safety, and that is create what I call an empty. So I'm just going to create a stone here. I'm not going to tell you why just yet, but I'll just create a stone, position it over to the left here, maybe a bit forward, maybe. Right, so this isn't really important, but never mind. The two important things are that I make it hidden, and that I parent the dolphin to the stone. Okay, so now the stone is the king master, if you like. If I move the stone, the dolphin will move with me as well. But for now, just ignore the stone. We're not going to refer to it too much now. It's all about the dolphin. Now, at the moment, we are nowhere. We've got 2 seconds of gap, so I'm just going to shuttle forward 2 seconds to the collision point. There we go, 2 seconds. So at that point, we know that the dolphin is in place to nod the ball forward. So we'll just set a keyframe here, and I'm not going to be too specific. I'm just setting keyframes across all lanes, and I'll move forward a couple of frames and just give it a nod in the Z rotation, because that's kind of the dolphin nodding the ball over to this one over here. That's cool. It's a nice strong nod, and maybe about 3 frames later, we'll just do a bit of a recoil after the nod, and actually I'll just keep that rhythm up. 1, 2, 3 frames, and just do a little bit of a wiggle. 1, 2, yeah, roughly about there, and we'll just nod back again. So it's just doing some little finesse wiggles here. Imagine the dolphin is coming up, and it's just doing a little fluttery thing as it comes up, and yeah, we'll just maybe one more. Okay, cool. Now that's the collision. That's, if you like, the nod after the effect, but we need to go back into time, back to 2 seconds just beforehand. So we'll just go back to, say, 2 frames before, and we'll just rotate that back, because this is the big wind up to nod the ball over. That's cool. And we'll go back a few more frames, and these won't be so dramatic. That's okay. I'm just setting up some frames for the lead-in, if you like. So we'll go there, and we'll just cool. So now if you were to play back, we're going back in time. So this is the frame 1 minute and 15 frames. Sorry, 1 second 15 frames. Cool. That's where the animation starts, and we know we have to keep this going for about 2 seconds. So just, this is the beginning, we'll say here. We'll just click this plus button so I set frames on all the lanes, and I'll do the tidy up later on. 1:15, I want to go forward to 3:15. Where's 3:15? Excellent. Oh, 3:16. 3:15, cool. And we'll just set a keyframe across all lanes there. And that way we know when we get into the AML, all our lanes, except for this one here, where did that come from? I'll just get rid of these here. Just select the ticker marks if you want to delete these keyframes. Yes. Okay, so we've got a range of over 2 seconds on all this sort of little knotty stuff. Now, I need these to repeat. That's cool. We'll just go for the position to loop. But I want this to, let's see, make it repeat. Don't want to cycle, we don't want to play it backwards in time, because that's what pendulum does. It plays it forward in time, then it plays it backward in time. We want this to repeat only every 2 seconds and just start over from the beginning, not go backwards. Rotation, pretty much the same thing. It's a repeat. Scale, we have nothing to do with. In fact, we'll just get rid of these keyframes and just do a nice little tidy up here. Okay, so let's just take a look at our dolphin in motion here. We'll just go back to the beginning, play, and wiggle, 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 and boof. Okay, wiggle, wiggle. Yes. Now we'll repeat. Boof. Yes, beautiful. It's a lovely thing. Okay, that's cool. Now, one thing about it, of course, is that we have a dolphin when the ball is kind of partway through its trajectory, say around about here-ish, and we have a dolphin kind of just stationary in midair, which isn't the greatest look. You know, they need to go down. They're not completely floating in the sky. So we'll just stop this, and we'll do a little up and down movement too. Now we can do it 2 ways, but the way that I'm going to do it is keep it all on the cylinder. Let's see, we'll go for 2. I'm going to say that he nods up, and around about here at about 2:05, he's pretty much reached the high point. So I'm just going to slide him up here. Okay, so he's pushing through the ball, all right? And then at our regulation 1, was it 3:15? I think it was 3:15. We'll bring him back down to his absolute zenith. Okay, and then we'll go again back in time. Was it 1:15? Yes. It needs to be down as well. Excellent. So at 1:15, he's not visible. But then he comes up, and at 2, poof. Wiggle, 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 and submerges. All right, and then when he comes back up again, hey, he's boof. Right, sorry about that. I had to get the phone. Where were we? Up. Yeah, okay, yeah, and then okay, all right, okay. Now we're all right. So we've done a lot of work on dolphin number 1. Do we have to do the work all over again for dolphin number 2? Yes, but there is a fast way and a slow way to do it. The slow way to do it is, of course, go through it manually and just offset all the do all the stuff that you need to do for dolphin number 2, or you use my parenting trick. And that's something that's not really intuitive when you take a look at the scene, and that is parenting kind of works like grouping, in that if you copy a group and paste that group, all the elements of that group go with it. So if I was to copy this parent, which, as you know, is parent owns this dolphin here, owns the cylinder, copy it, paste it on top of itself, I now have another dolphin. And all I'm going to do is slide it over to the other side, and that way it will also copy all of the keyframes that the original dolphin had. This is a huge time saver. Where it can get a bit confusing is the positioning of it. So I'm using, as you may remember, a YZ mirroring technique. So all I'm going to do is, having copied and pasted it, I'll just go to the attributes of this stone and just put it over to the positive side. Oops, oh, let's go, just get rid of the negative sign. Cool. And I am going to, let's see, I could rotate it, but it's going to ruin my mirror imaging, because if I rotate it, if you take a look, 3, 4, it's, you know, it's not symmetrical. It's not lining up with this other fake dolphin that I have over here, and that's because really for mirror imaging you have to turn the shape inside out. So I'm just undoing the rotation here. This is as it was copied across, and now what I'm going to do is flip it in the X direction. Not commonly used in Bryce, but we can flip the X direction. What this is basically, it's like turning a sweater inside out. If you just take a look at the shape of the stone at the moment, and I'm going to flip it in the X direction, I'm turning it inside out, left to right. Boof. Now we have something a little bit closer, all right, closer to home. It's overlapping on our little original dolphin cylinder, which I can possibly now delete. Let's get rid of cylinder number 2. Please. Please? Oh, I've locked it, haven't I? Duh. Okay. So now we have just these, our 2 dolphins now. So if we were to play back this animation, oops. What have I done? What have I not done? Maybe I should just clear some keyframes on this one. So let's go minus. In fact, I'll get rid of everything on the stone. That helps, keeps things cool. And you too, buddy, come over here. Just in case. I see a little tick mark there. Yeah, cheeky little devil. All right then, let's give this a whirl. So we'll just scroll back in time and play, and I think we'll have synchronous dolphins. Yeah, which doesn't work for us on the other side. How are we possibly going to sync these up? Well, I've already told you the answer to that. We just go back to the AML and change the timelines. So let's see, we should have, oops, helps if I select the object. Cool. Here's our cylinder, there's our positions. Now we're moving 2 seconds, aren't we? So let's just move this back in time. 2 seconds. So it's currently on, hang on, let me just get a bit more accurate on the readings here. So all of these tick marks that start as on, and I think it's on 3:15. Yes, as I hold down the mouse button, you can see the position display just under the ACE curve thing. 3:15, so I want to go forward to 5:15. Come on, here we go. And this one too. Actually, no, I want to go back to 4:15, don't I? See, this is the reason I script a lot of my tutorials. Because you just know that something screwy is going to happen. I'm just going to go back to 2:15. Come on. Yeah, because when you wing it, when you start backtracking and taking a look at the mistakes, and it's just ugly. Well, that's a pretty effect. Cool. Got to be careful on the moving of these things. If I was to take this ticker mark, for instance, and drag it all the way back to 0, it would crush all the ticker marks into one keyframe. So just be careful when you're shuffling these things backward and forward. And I think that's basically about it. Okay, guys, we're almost home. We've covered off everything to do with the dolphins and the ball. Now it's more the mechanics, the practical idea of exporting this as a looping sequence. So if you recall, we have a whole bunch of frames here at the beginning that we can get rid of, but we kind of need these pre-frames in order to get Dolphin 1 zoomed up into action, right? And we need some lagging keyframes to see Dolphin 2 get into action. If we were to start the animation here, right, we wouldn't see the ball coming back from Dolphin 2 to make it loop, because Dolphin 2 is now in the air. There is a moment here, just around about here, where both dolphins are in the air, or one is coming up and one is going down. If we started it from here, dolphin 2 is nowhere to be seen. So let's find a loop point, and I'll introduce a new, well, not a new feature, but something that's not too well known and rather hard to distinguish, and that's called working ranges. So I'm just going to shuttle through and find what I consider to be a loop point. Now, let's see, ball midway through sounds like a more obvious choice. Let's give it a whirl. I don't want it because we're still not into Dolphin 2's cycle yet. You know, it's just starting to get into action now. Okay, so I want to pick another loop point. I'm just let's try. Yeah, let's have it starting from neutral here at 3. Yeah, let's make it 316. Oops. Hey, 316. All right, cool. So this is where we're going to start our animation. And what we want to do is create a range within our entire animation duration that it will animate. Okay? Now there's a couple of ways of doing it. The hard way of doing it is if you just take a look at the green line, right, you can actually I might just turn off the ticker marks just to make it a little bit easier. Or make it sort of disperse them out. Let's try every second. All right, cool. So we have a solid green line, but if I was to click on this green line right here, you will now see two sections of the green line. There's a dark green here and a light green here. It's really hard to make out. I point you to Bryce 5, where they didn't monkey around with the colors here, and there was a nice blue color here and a yellow color. Very easy to distinguish, but this is kind of hard. So I'm just going to, what this indicates is that the light green is the actual area or duration that will be rendered when you render this animation. So I'm just going to slide this up to 316, wasn't it? Yes, 316. Cool. And I'll just shuttle forward, add 2 seconds, so it must be coming up to 516 will be the repeat point. Or rather 515, because you got to take a frame off. Oh no, I've only gone up to 5 seconds. Come on, here we go. 515. Actually, we won't even try and do that. We'll just leave the shuttle where it is. Come on. Oh, come on, get out of the way. Right, cool. And I'll just click again at this end of the line, and now you'll see the dark bit has been truncated from the end point. And I'll just slide the darkness down to 515. Alright, so now we should be going from 316 to 515, which should create a perfect loop. Okay, so that was the hard way of sorting out your working ranges. The easy way is doing it all at the end. So if you're going to render it and you're ready to go, you go up to File, let's see, is it Render Animation? You can choose between your entire duration or your working range. So you can click on working range here, and you can physically enter the data points of your durations of where you want to render your put out your sub render. And once you're done, you're done. Now I'm going to speed things up here and just use a wireframe render. Actually, I'll just deselect everything here so we don't get those annoying frames around the boxes. Animation setup. What am I doing? Duh. Sorry, brain's fading. Render animation. There we go. And I'm going to make it working range, and I'm going to set the duration to, set the location to my desktop. Cool. Yeah, dolphins. Cool. Save. And I'll just do a shift wireframe render because it's quicker. Cool. And then it'll automatically come up in MPEG stream clip. And that's pretty much, what the render will be. Alright, so I've just copied it 4 times now. So let's just see how the, wrong button. Let's just go back to the beginning. Play. Oh, flawless. Seamless. And of course, my little stones here will be hidden from the final render.